What's going on, guys? We have a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about JP Morgan and Visa getting into a tokenization project. We're going to mention a couple of miners with upcoming earnings, and we're going to go over Cipher, who just released their earnings. We also have news of an investment firm that holds over 1.8 billion in these Bitcoin ETFs. And let's start off with the last thing I mentioned first. This company, investment firm that put 1.8 billion into Bitcoin spot ETFs. And their largest position is actually Grayscale, GBTC. Yes, there are firms, there are companies buying GBTC. It would be hard to realize it when all we've been seeing, besides very recently, is GBTC outflows. We had the FTX selling, we had the Genesis selling, of course. GBTC has the highest fee out there. People are switching that and going for a better spot Bitcoin ETF in terms of fees. But this filing reveals there are people buying GBTC. There are a lot of big companies buying these spot Bitcoin ETFs. And this isn't all that Cifr or whatever investment group holds, SIG for short. They hold positions in all of these different ETFs, 2x leveraged funds, short Bitcoin funds for hedges. They are definitely in Bitcoin. And the total combined amount of these assets, as we said earlier, was $1.8 billion. And the moral of the story here, SIG's disclosure of holding over 1.8 billion in these Bitcoin ETFs shows that there's a growing trend of institutional adoption and investment in Bitcoin as part of a diversified investment strategy. And we should get more of these 13F filings in the coming months as they're released to the SEC. I also want to talk about this recent news today. JP Morgan and Visa jump into an ambitious tokenization project in a bullish sign for digital ledgers. And JP Morgan and Visa have joined a project to test the feasibility of tokenizing cash and other assets. And this was announced today as of Wednesday. Now, the goal of this project is to examine how such a system might fit in the financial regulatory regime that governs the markets and the global payment systems. JP Morgan and Visa aren't the only ones getting into tokenization. Larry Fink of BlackRock also believes wholeheartedly in tokenization. He believes a lot of the world's assets will be tokenized. And if he could, he probably would tokenize himself. Now, we don't know what blockchain they're going to utilize. It could end up being similar to what BlackRock's doing with Biddle. And down at the bottom of this article, it also mentions Franklin Templeton. I didn't know this, but Franklin Templeton, which is a big asset manager, they enabled the peer-to-peer transfer of Benji, which is basically their stablecoin. And this Benji token is a share in the firm's 380 million US government money fund launched on the Stellar blockchain. And looking at Bitcoin, we're pretty much flat today. We started the day red. It looks like we might flip green. Miners, as of this upload, are red across the board trying to flip green. And one thing I'm watching for Bitcoin is, one, this downtrend. If we can break out of this descending channel, I do think we'll start a new trend. We'll start a new direction, hopefully to the upside. Also, keep an eye on the 50 MA. I mentioned this to you guys the other day, but Bitcoin keeps finding resistance on this red line here, the 50 MA. I do think a break of the 50 MA and this descending resistance will cause a breakout for Bitcoin, but it's a matter of seeing the breakout of the 50 MA and this descending resistance. We also have CleanSpark releasing earnings on Thursday after hours. Mara's earnings is also set for Thursday, May 9th, after the close. Now, one thing CleanSpark's been doing recently on the chart is it's been setting lower highs, but it's also been setting higher lows. We're getting this tightening. Soon, either the bulls or the bears will take over. And I think it really relies on earnings to decide which will win, at least in the next direction. Same with Bitcoin. Watch CleanSpark to break the 50 MA. We did have a false breakout, but we didn't close on the daily above the 50 MA. That's one thing I'm watching for. And look for a breakout of this green trend, this pattern. CleanSpark is expecting a second profitable quarter in a row. They're expecting a huge growth in revenue as well. What we've been seeing lately is we have been seeing the Bitcoin miners miss their revenue, but they have beaten their EPS. Many have actually been giving profitable quarters, and yet the market doesn't seem to care. I do think we're going to either need to beat both bottom and top line, and beat it by quite a bit to see a good run if Bitcoin isn't working with us. I do personally expect good things from CleanSpark's earnings. Their last earnings, they reported a profit as well. After this earnings, we went on over 100% run. Now, I don't expect the same thing this time around. We're higher in price, we're higher in market cap now. Bitcoin was rallying at that time, so we have to keep that in mind. But if Bitcoin starts rallying, even a couple days after earnings, I think that will give CleanSpark and a lot of these other stocks what they need to rally. The ones that gave a good earnings, the ones that gave a profitable quarter, all they need is Bitcoin to move up. I think the market does realize that this is an earnings that was before the halving. So next earnings, we might see some miners flip to unprofitability unless Bitcoin starts rising probably towards the 70s. But that's okay, because over the rest of this year, we are going to see Bitcoin rise more. And while these miners might flip to unprofitable, I do expect they're going to flip back to profitability as we continue on with this Bitcoin cycle. And this is something we haven't seen last cycle. We didn't see any of the miners posting profitability before the halving. This time around, we're seeing it with a lot of the Bitcoin miners. This time around, I expect a lot of miners to see profitability as we get through this Bitcoin bull run. Last time we saw a few post profit at the very end of the bull run. This time around things are looking a lot better for the miners. Many are debt free. Many have prepaid miners coming. Many have purchase options to buy the Bitcoin miners they want to buy at set prices, so they don't have to worry about when the market demand grows and the Bitcoin mining machines get more expensive. I do think the miners are in a pretty good spot here, especially CleanSpark. We did have Cipher report earnings. This was yesterday, and they did report a net income. They made a profit. They made $40 million. They also gave some updates on a few of their centers there. Bear and Chief JV data centers are going to be delivering an additional 1.25 exahash, and this is on track for completion in the second quarter of 2024. We also have the 300 megawatt data center at Black Pearl. This is on track for energization in 2025. Currently land is cleared and leveled for construction. If you guys want to listen to their conference call, I will leave it down below for you. But this is good. We're seeing a lot of these Bitcoin miners that have recently posted earnings to see profitable quarters. This is something we didn't see in the last cycle. Now I wanted to give you guys a quick update on Grayscale and IBIT. Because of Grayscale's recent inflows, we're still at this 1 billion away mark. We have Grayscale at 18.4 billion in assets under management with 292,000 Bitcoin. And we have BlackRock at 17.3 billion, so a little over a billion away, and currently holding 274,000 Bitcoin. I do think we will still see them flip, and I do think this will be a positive for the market. Despite seeing these recent green inflow days for GBTC, I still do think we'll see BlackRock's IBIT pass GBTC. But it is a huge positive now seeing GBTC post some inflows. We did see BlackRock post an outflow the other day, but after that they did get back to inflows. And I'll be giving you guys the updated spot Bitcoin ETF numbers when they get released today. But thanks as always for watching, guys. It's definitely going to be a busy month for the Bitcoin miners. It's been busy so far, and so far I gotta say so good. We are seeing some profitability among the miners, and who knows, if we get a good push in Bitcoin throughout the rest of this month and next month, we do have the potential for next quarter earnings to be a really good quarter for the Bitcoin miners. The Bitcoin miners. Keep in mind that quarter will contain the months of April, May, and June. So we still have a little over a month to see where Bitcoin takes us, to see what the miners can potentially report in upcoming earnings. And thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.